convention. Please explain your reasons supporting or not supporting the practice.
Can you just repeat the first part for me? I think I missed it.
Do you support the uncodified, I guess?
Unqualified?
Codified.
Qualified.
It's a legal term. Practice of allowing a Fulton County mass meeting caucus attendee to enter the name and voting information of a non-attendee as a delegate or alternate to the Fulton County Convention. Please explain your reasons supporting or not supporting the practice.
Yes, that question was asked of me before, and when an individual asked me, and I said that it's something that I will look into and have better understanding of it. First, I have to look at what the law says. Everybody should know by now, I'm a person that do everything by the book. Yes, we can go outside of the book if it's legal. But it was asked of me, and I promised that I will look into it. The danger of having names put on a delegate or alternate list and the person is not in attendance is that you open doors for anyone at any time to put names on a list, even if they have not attended the mass caucus meeting. The purpose of that, you come to the meetings, you participate, you get with your precinct, you decide who's going to do what, and then those names of the people attending go to the county, which then goes to the state. Adding names after a person is not present, to me, sends a red flag. On the other hand, there was an individual that said, I checked with them, I had the ID, I had all the information, I know who they are, I verified that individual, can I put their names on the list if they're not able to attend? And that's something that I think we need to review, we need to look into. I don't want to give an answer up here and tell you that I agree or disagree. I saw the benefits of both of how that can happen, but I guarantee you that will probably play out more dangerous for us than it would in a negative fashion than it would in a positive fashion. And I know we just experienced that with one of the delegates who didn't go to the mass caucus meeting, and he was participating. Thank you.
You need to repeat?
Are you talking about the couch to caucus practice? That's what you're talking about? Where they're not in there and people put their names on? I think that's
correct.
Okay, so this cycle was very interesting. So no, I don't necessarily support that practice, but here's what I do support. There was one precinct that I know of for sure who set the entire process up to make sure that everybody was there, was registered, and then if someone physically couldn't be there, just like you would do absentee voting, you would sign an attestation that said why you couldn't be there. I took those attestations to my own precinct meeting, and they said we don't do that because my son had a fever that morning, and my husband was volunteering at the church, but they both wanted to go. I think having effective mechanisms for tracking and documenting are critical. The other side of that is these mass meetings, these precinct meetings, the House district meetings, the purpose of those is to get the precincts together so we're all getting together and communicating and talking. Many of the people I've seen who do that practice are elected officials or individuals who don't want to engage. Well, we need your help. If you're not going to help at the local level and you're not going to help us, then why are you going to convention? Because you're not doing the hard work that we all need to do. And like I said earlier, it is the House districts, it is the precincts where you're going to have your grassroots and the people who are totally committed. It's why you all are here. You're committed to the party. You want to make sure that everybody's going to these conventions are just as committed as you are. And granted, if you sign those attestations, because there are going to be precincts, just like absentee voting, but I think it does us all a disservice by individuals, especially elected officials, who aren't in the room with you. Why aren't they? Why aren't they at the convention, sitting with you at the table like a regular citizen? Because they are. They just happen to represent you. So my opinion is the practice should be similar to voting in that you have a mechanism for attestations, and when you're there, you get to decide who the delegates and the alternates are.
Okay. Stephanie. Oh, Peter.
not chop liver.
Sorry
I get
about
to
that.
answer this question, Tom. Thank you. I agree with Stephanie. You know what? We have a record number of delegates to the county party this year. Not everyone could make it to the mass meeting. Not everyone. I see a lot of people who were in the mass meeting that I was, the mass caucus that I was running. I'm happy you're here. I'm thrilled you're here. So thank you. There are people who generally have made it to our mass meeting and participated all the way to state who had emergencies. So what Stephanie is suggesting in an attestation is correct. Now, Stephanie is also correct in that we've had elected officials who just make assumptions. But our voting mechanism has changed. We now need birth dates. We now need a legitimate voter registration number. So we need all that in advance. We should have a process for those who are expressing an interest in coming and being a delegate at county, and we welcome more. We have room for 1,400 or 1,300. We've got 500 this year. In our mass meeting that we made calls and we went out and recruited, we had record turnout this year and still had people who couldn't make it for family emergencies. We will probably have a record turnout at county, a great delegation going to state. We'll make references to several congressional districts. We need an avenue we got to meet people where they're at. Some cannot make a mass meeting on February 11th, but can participate in county, in state, in district. We don't need to limit our participation. We need to make it easy to participate. We need to make it fun to participate. And we need to include as many from all over Fulton County as we can. I am so glad you folks are here. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Stephanie, now I think it's you. Question is, how do you plan on raising people for the ground game, as the Democrats have already in place?
How do I plan on reaching the people who aren't in the party to get them as part of the ground game?
Correct. How do you get people on the Fulton County Republican Party to create a ground game comparable to your competition?
Okay.
That's a little different.
Got it.
Same idea.
Got it, okay. So we have a lot of work to do because internally we have to create a lot of sense of pride and support and belief in the party and the party principles. We're very fractured. So internally, a lot of what we need to do is what I call internal branding, which is getting everybody involved, talking through strategic initiatives, showing growth, showing success, because your involvement will bleed out to other people. The affiliated parties who have been struggling to have any engagement and involvement and are trying to get work done that could maximize their efforts by pooling their resources under the tent, they're going to start feeling that. But the key is you have to follow your bylaws, you have to have your meetings, you have to have strategic goals, you have to show successes, you have to have benchmarks. That's the way that you get us involved while you're doing your external branding initiative that you would use experts for, that they're getting the brand out there. You're not telling everybody about necessarily conservatism. You're doing things to affiliate the party with causes and with effects that people resonate with and understand that are related to conservatism, but you're not forcing your belief on them. And as all these things start coming together, the party grows. And you also initiate those local precinct organizations because you know where your neighbors are. And in the website, we have to make the information available to you in your house precincts, in your local precincts, because you need to know a map. You need a map of what your precinct is. You need to know who are voters in that area. As an elected official, I can buy that list for $500 and know what houses I'm going to and who are the voters. If you ever see people canvassing, they don't necessarily go to every door. Why? Because they know who voted. They know kind of how you voted based on statistical data on primaries. So you use all these pieces that we build our success. It bridges out to the affiliated groups, which then bridges out. And the flip side is you have candidates that are being put up that follow the principles that you can believe in and that you can sell and get behind. And then they represent the party as the ambassador. Thank you.
You want me to repeat it?
I'll dig into this one because this is what I've been doing, again, for my entire stretch in Fulton County. Every year, I campaign. I campaign for others. I recruit. In 2021, we had 150 new members walk into the county convention. That was a recruiter's dream. I encouraged almost every single one of them, and some are here in this room, to stay and play. But the secret to building the ground game is in every precinct. So first, let's find the Republicans. We're finding the Republicans in every precinct. You can't be in a precinct in Fulton County, and I can't find you 15 true Republicans. The next thing to do, we're going to have a tough time, with all due respect, branding against CNN and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution from the stance, from our pedestal in Fulton County. Here's how we brand. We throw small events. We bring Melissa Jackson in to talk about education. Why? I did it in 4 days and had 100 people in a room in East Roswell Park. We bring in, we do interesting events based on issues. We call our neighbors. Everybody in every precinct should be making a list right now of 25 people they know that they could invite to one of these events. Everybody should be making that list to who they could call to say, can I count on you to go vote? If we build community in the precincts, and the county party is here to give you interesting material so you can recruit your friends, and the party is fun, we're going to have plenty of ground game, but it's going to be built at the community level, communities of interest, and in our neighborhoods, in every single precinct in Fulton County. I'll do it. Thanks.
Peter, do me a favor, just eliminate the sidebar. Answer the question. Thank you. Sonia, you need a repeat?
No, I don't think so. I think I got it. I mentioned a little earlier, I went to an African American event last night, and there were several, David Shaper and a whole bunch of Burt Jones sponsored the event. I was so proud to see a Republican sponsoring an event celebrating Black history, and there were several Democrats, Blacks, whites. I'm not really a black and white person. Don't think, I might have said one or two things make you think that, but I'm not really. I'm about how we're going to get the job done. And I'm fighting, I feel like I'm fighting more than I should by myself, because people have to get what I'm trying to say. Going to that event, and I was so excited. One is sponsored by a Republican. We had David Shafer and some others, myself, Gordon, some other people that were there, but no one else was there. None of the other candidates were there. Maybe they didn't know, But I was so proud, and I was passing my cards out to folks, and I said, I'm running for Fulton County Chair. And one comment after the other, wow, that's awesome. That would be, you are the face of change of the Republican Party. And again, it's not really about black and white, but it's about other people don't realize that African Americans are conservatives too. We believe in the same thing you believe in. We have so many minority groups out there that we need to reach out, the Indians, the Asians, and so the Hispanics. So those are the things I'm talking about. Reaching out to those people quickly. I spoke with Senator Halpern. She is now working on helping women who are dying at a high rate in the state of Georgia, women who are giving childbirth. We need to preserve life, right? Why not help the women who are dying from lack of resources? Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Peter, you're up.
Okay.
This is Fulton County Republican Party looking in the mirror. Last year, there were 49 seats up for election, federal, state, and county. Of the 49 seats, Democrats won 39, Republicans won 10. So that's 79.6% versus 20.4%. But when you drill down a little further into the data, unopposed to the Democrats was 15 seats. That's 30% of the whole. So even if you ran the table The most you can get is 70%. So 15 events seats that you didn't show, didn't contest, didn't do anything. Conversely, Republicans had 3 unopposed, but that's 6% for the Democrats. So here's the question. Is this a winning culture? And if it's not, how do you fix it?
Well, this is a great question. Thank you, Tom. In DeKalb, last May, in the second bluest county in Georgia, we put 25 candidates on the ballot. Why? Because you can't vote DeKalb red if there's no red on the ballot. We put 17 candidates on the November ballot. Guess what? None of them won. But in DeKalb, we generated tens of thousands of new Republican voters. And I know it's been validated, as Stephanie had called the DeKalb chair to make sure that my facts are correct. We need to recruit as a party and actively recruit. This is our function. Recruit excellent candidates. Yes. Do I have time? Because I'm getting into the
The
answer.
sidebar is just eliminated. In other words, the little sidebar about Stephanie or a little sidebar about Sonia, just answer the question. Let's talk about you.
Got it.
Thank you.
We need to recruit excellent candidates, the best we can, in every House district. And in every House district we have, run up the score. We may be in an 80-20 area, as we were in certain areas in DeKalb, but we had House district teams supporting a candidate, going out and canvassing. We ran up the score. We'll run up the score here by getting candidates in every House district and going out and canvassing. And even where we think we can't win, we can compete, we can run up the score, and we can make Democrats spend money to keep what they have and not spend money here and in other areas to expand. Run up the score in the House districts, we win the top of the ticket. Thank you.
Sonia.
Does anyone ever heard of the defamation or anyway, they're saying the definition of insanity, you keep doing the same things and expecting different results. Why are we doing the same thing over and over? I ran for office in 2021. The chairman of Fulton County Republican Party told me, we can't help you. I ran in 2019. You need to get out the party. I don't know why, but I'm just sharing this with you. I'm running because I'm conservative. I need to get in there so that we can do what we need to do to keep our conservative values. I'm tired of this country going in a direction where we don't need it. And so when that happened, I had Democrats coming to me and saying, wow, we thought you were going to win. 12 Democrats ran for a seat. 1 Republican ran. That was me. Did I get help from the party? No. This is the kind of thing that we need to keep doing and putting people in the seats. I don't get it. That's why I'm running for chairman. We have to do things differently. We have to work with people. We have to strategize. I think in 2020, 2021, we paid a consultant $76,000 and we lost every seat. We paid $197,000 for canvassing in 2021. No, 2020. We didn't get any seats. What is going on with us? We need a different direction, a different person, that's me, so that we can bring all the people together so that we can move this party forward. I'm telling you, it's really not about me, but it's about what we need to do, and I can't tell you all of it now, but what we need to do so that we can get our conservative values stay in place. We are losing. Thank you.
Stephanie?
Okay. Elections in Fulton County are complicated, but what I'm going to say is, when I ran the first time, I had to fight like hell because nobody knew who I was. And I won the election in a runoff, about 54% of the vote. I was in for a short stub year term, it was 2 years. In less than 2 years, I was running for re-election for a full term. When when I came up in front of people and had these forums or debates, you asked me a question, I answered the question. I had principles, I told you what I was going to do, and when I was in office, I did it. So that when I then ran, yes, there was someone else running for that position, but I got over 71% of the vote. How do you do that? Because you stand with your core principles, which mine are the Constitution, low taxation, limited government, government at the local level. All my decisions, people knew how they could predict how I would vote, and 99% of the time, they were absolutely right. So I appealed to every party because at the local level, everyone's concerned about the same things: public safety, family values. The people who won elections in Fulton County weren't because of the party, because the party wasn't supporting everyone. It was because of the candidates. We have to start sourcing candidates that can talk and talk about what their principles are going to be. People can trust them to some degree. They believe them. People got behind Bridget Thorne. She's a perfect example because she was polished and professional. She was clear. She understood what her positions would be. And now as she's in office, she's going to be able to tout to all different people what it is she accomplished, because it's not about the party. It's about the position. It's about representing the people. But as a party, we have to hold the elected officials accountable, get scorecards, and make sure, because that's the hardest part about the party, is having individuals who don't support the principles and then they're Democrat-like. That doesn't do any of us any good, and it affects all of us. So at the end of the day, we have to source good candidates, we have to have good grassroots groups to do the electorate, and then hold them accountable. Thank you.
Sonia, question is, how will you differentiate yourself from the current Fulton County Republican Party leadership? How will you operate the same?
First of all, I'm the new face of Fulton County Republican Party moving forward. And I have, currently, it's been a struggle. We have a small group of individuals that are running the party, and it's really hurting us as a party. It has done us no good. We've lost elections, they're not supporting people, and I'm not trying to offend anyone if you are in here, but we have to move forward, and we have to do things a little differently. One of the big things that we have failed miserably on as a secretary of the Fulton Republican Party is including the executive board, which is the governing body of Fulton County Republican Party. They are the ones that should be running this party, not a select few on the side. What else would I do differently? I would hold meetings, make sure that we keep people involved, make sure we keep our precincts connected with our House District chairs and connected to the executive board of Fulton County Republican Party and connected to the executive board. I'm not going to hold monthly meetings, but I will do quarterly meetings. In between those meetings, House District and precincts will meet, they'll talk, they'll plan, and we will keep moving forward. My big thing in the party that we've never done since I've been in here is to do a really nice retreat. Bring all of the executive board members together. We'll start out with bonding, connecting, training, educating, planning. That's all it takes. Basically those three things. Once we have those things in place, we can move forward, and we have what I would think is a process. We have a direction, and we know where we're going. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question? I don't know that I fully heard.
Sure. How will you differentiate yourself from the current Fulton County Republican Party leadership, and how will you operate the same? How are you different? How are you the same?
Okay, so in the last 2 years, we haven't followed the bylaws. We haven't had meetings. The members of the executive committee have not been part of the decision-making, let alone the members of the party being aware. So why was the first 90 days critical? Because I'm action-oriented. I'm a worker. Let's get to work. We're bonded by the same purpose. We want to start working on elections and building the grassroots and getting the teams together. First thing I'm going to do is hold those executive meetings, the executive committee, the operating committee, so that we can understand where we are. where we are financially, where are our resources, what has happened, where do we stand, assess, like we talked about, the precinct chairs, start really having these strategic initiatives so that we can talk through. You've got plenty of groups doing work, but we need to collate them. But the first thing is to have those meetings, and in the first 90 days, establish some benchmarks for different activities. I don't want to get too in the weeds because I can. I do that sometimes. But at the end of the day, we have to function like the party. We have to function like a business. We have to have the meetings. We have to have transparency. We have to get the information out to all of you. We have to have a website that has resources and you can get information from. You shouldn't be waiting for someone to constantly push information to you. There's a lot of work that has to happen in the first 90 days to be able to put in place the infrastructure that needs to be there to be an effective communicator, transparency, organizer, and that's where we have to be. Right now, I'm not interested in doing a lot of the same because we aren't accomplishing anything. Those first 90 days, you will know where we stand, what's been accomplished, because what will then grow the party is when you're celebrating those successes and you see that movement forward, the actions being taken, the accomplishments being made, ever so little. That makes a difference moving the needle because then it's going to get bigger and bigger. You're going to start seeing all of that. I would sit here and list every single objective out, but we would be here all night. So anyway, if you want to check out my website, Andres for Fulton, I do have a business plan, but that's what I would do differently.
Thank you. Peter, you need to repeat?
No, I think I got it with the current state of the county party, and I have a very good understanding of why it is operating or non-operating. We have too few people doing all of the work, and those people don't necessarily trust each other. If you choose me to serve you as chair, our secretary and assistant secretary and our treasurer and assistant treasurer will be the chief administrative officers of the party. The first vice chair and the chair will be out being apostles, being messengers. The secretary will schedule meetings, but it's not just for the administrative functions. It's very internally focused. We have to have meetings of the executive committee, and in fact, which incorporates all of our precincts. We need to bring people together for fellowship and community so we know who each other are. We're together. We don't need to be Fulton Fight Club. We need to take the fight to the Democrats. We need to take the fight to our opponents, and we can do that together. Vice chairs for media, marketing, and communication. Vice chair for digital comms. The secretary is the most important role in comms in the Fulton County Party, but it's not being used that way right now. The secretary communicates with the secretary of the House districts and all the secretaries of the precinct back and forth. So it's serial or parallel, not serial. So that's how we need to go. We will operate differently. Meeting in the first 30 days, financial report and membership benchmark in 60. We move on from there. That's where we go. Thank you very much.
Stephanie, you're up now. You will be tasked with appointing 2 people to the Board of Elections and Registration of BRE. And what will be your criteria?
Stephanie was the first person to answer the last question, so Sonia.
It was Sonia.
I went first.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
Okay, I'm writing it down because I get lost. And I cross them off as we go. So, you need, okay. You'll be asked, you'll be tasked with appointing. So you'll be tasked with appointing 2 people to the BRE. What will your criteria be?
So these are 2 very critical positions, clearly, because we definitely have some election integrity issues. I would definitely want someone who has been on the forefront of the election integrity efforts, and I actually would solicit feedback from individuals more so that have been on the forefront as well, because they know who could effectively represent the party, they know who they could effectively communicate, be well received.